Hey guys, music is my vegetables here. Let me talk to you a little bit today. First time. Hello, everybody. I've seen you watched my videos, and today I want to talk about how is a synth work? How does a synth work? What is going on in a synth? When I was informing myself about since 1.5 years ago, I was absolutely unknown about everything, and I wanted to know how does this thing work. There are so many things out there, but all, or let's say most of them, or many of them, do work the same. Most of the synths out there are so-called subtractive synth. Subtractive, I will explain this later. Today I want to explain how does a subtractive synth work. What are his components and how does it work? So, there are hardware synthesizers out there and there are many software synthesizers out there. All of them work more or less the same. All of them have the same components built in. You only have to find them. If you go to any synths, if software synths or hardware synths, you have to look for those components that I will explain today. And I will use this software synth called Odin 2 because I think with this soft synth one can explain quite good how a synth works, because everything is very visible and you can switch it in or off and show or let the audience listen to the differences. Okay. A subtractive synth always has 3 different components or sections. First, the oscillators. Here we have this section, oscillator 1, oscillator 2, oscillator 3. The oscillators are oscillating in somehow. They make sounds in form of different waves. We switch in the first oscillator. Take the simplest form possible, an analog oscillator. This analog oscillator, it is not analog, it's digital, but it's trying to sound like an analog oscillator. This analog oscillator can play in different waveforms. So now I will switch on a little prepared note pattern. It's just a note pattern I came up with. Okay. This is the oscillator, only the oscillator. The oscillator goes, the sound of the oscillator goes through the filter, through the amplifier, and then out. There are other steps, we will come to that, but that's the way. Oscillator, filter, amplifier, out. The oscillator can play different waveforms. This is sawtooth, square wave, triangle sine wave. Let's take a triangle wave. But this sound is too boring to us. So now we go on. We go to the next step. We go to the filter section. Here we have filter 1. We put in a filter. We can choose from different. In many synths you can choose from different filters. We take a low pass 24 filter. And here you have the frequency. That means in the frequency spectrum from 0 Hertz to, let's say, 20,000 Hertz, the spectrum of this waveform is spread out. And now we have the filter, we can open it. It's not that good to show with a triangle. Let's take a sawtooth. So now it is, the filter is absolutely open. So from 0 to 20,000 Hertz everything comes through. But now we cut it. So we've taken something away from the sound. The frequency from 2896 Hertz to 20,000 Hertz. We've taken that away. And that's why those synthesizers are called subtractive synths. We subtract something from the original sound. Here you have the saturation. Here you can set the saturation. In filters you can set different things. Okay. Then it goes to the amplifier. This is the amplifier. We can make it louder. Or let's say we can put more gain in it. And the amplifier also, in this section, the sound also can be modulated by the envelope. This is, here you see the amp envelope with the ADSR. Maybe you've heard attack, decay, sustain, release. So if we bring up the attack, you hear that the sound comes in slowly. So we've taken away again something, the beginning of the tone. We subtracted more. The decay and the sustain. Okay, let's say that we want to have this sound, it is okay for us. Okay. So now we have we have seen oscillator, filter, amplifier, envelope, original waveform subtracted by frequency, goes to the amplifier, subtracted by the ADSR. So now we have another tone, as if we would bypass this. All right. Bring it in. But we have seen up here we have more oscillators. We put in another one, and we take another waveform. Let's stay with this one. And now we come to here, that is also in every synth, the adjustment of the note value. So you can go down in this sense, you can adjust the octaves. We go down one octave for this waveform. If we put this one out, we hear nothing, because we have not taken this oscillator to the filter. So you have to route the oscillator through the filter. If you don't route it through the filter, it does not arrive at the amplifier. Okay, so this is the sound. And now we want to detune it a little bit, just a nuance from the first oscillator, and we not by semitone. And that's just a little bit. Or we also could, by semitone, we could try to build up a chord, or let's say a power chord, a fifth, the root note and the fifth. So we go up 7 tones, 7 semitones, and here we can adjust something called the drift. How is it if I take another waveform? Okay then. Okay. The tone becomes more interesting. We take another oscillator. We take this one octave up. So now all those 3 oscillators, let's give him a little bit drift too, and a little bit of fine tuning. All right. All the 3 oscillators now are routed through the filter into the amplifier. Okay, now we're at the amplifier. We see here this amplifier in this synth has a distortion built in, so let's put it on. And the sound changes, so sure. Now that's the sound goes out. In this sense, you have another filter built in after the amplifier. So this sits before the amplifier, but here you have a filter after the amplifier. You can put it in, and here we take a formant filter. I prepared this before. So now, okay, the sound is quite different. but we're not ready. Now we come to the fourth section of many synths, not every synth. Many synths have an effect section between the amp and the out. And here we have the effects, delay, phaser, chorus, flanger, reverb. So let's put some in. Let's say we put in the reverb first. Okay, better. The delay. All right. So now we have our sound coming from 3 oscillators going through 1 filter. We also could route it to both filters, so the sound goes this way and this way. But in this case, it is to the amplifier, to another filter, through the effect section, out. And now, here you have something LFO. That is, let's say, that is the 5th section every or most of the synths have. But I better want to explain this with another synth that I prepared. So I leave now I leave this synth and I go to another one. We go to this one. And we switch here again. Oscillator section. One is running. Okay, we leave it this way. But now if you look, where is the amp? There is no amp. Where is it? But here, this envelope is the amp envelope, so there is no shown amp section, but it shows the envelope of the amp section. So we can adjust the amp here. And we have the filter down here. And now with this synth I quite good can explain how an LFO, what you can do with an LFO. An LFO is, you know, that maybe the low frequency oscillator, a very slow oscillating oscillator that you even can't hear, but you use this slow waves of the oscillator to modulate something in the synth. You can modulate everything with it in most synth, and you can put it somewhere. Here, this is the LFO1, and you see those notes are running through there. They are just, this is just to show the notes. This has no impact to the sound at the moment, but we will bring it to an impact. We want to modulate something, to change the sound. I don't take this oscillator, this has different ones, I take a sine wave. There are different ones built in here. And we take this one. and let it modulate the filter where the filter cuts or subtracts the frequencies of the original waveform. And we take it, in this case I just grab it here, take it over. You see everything that's lit up here it can be modulated. And now I put it here. And you see how so I don't want to explain more here. And that was just, it is more and it's better to see what's going on with the LFO and the modulation in this sense than in the other. So now we talked about oscillators, filter, amplifier, LFO, effect section. Those 5 things are the 5 components that with which you can build your sound in a synth. And you've heard that you can change the original waveform sound, which is boring like hell, to something how you want it, how you want to have it. So I think that was all. I want to thank you very, very much. And bye.